So this has bothered me since I watched Kinds of Kindness last week, and I really want to talk about it. So I'm actually a huge Yorgos Lanthimos fan, but you know what else I'm a big fan of? Formula One. So today we're going to talk about the use of Ayrton Senna's burnt helmet in Kinds of Kindness as a symbol for the loss of control. Kinds of Kindness is an anthology film, which means instead of one story, we get three. The film is divided into three parts. In the first part, we see Jesse Plemons' character live a life that is entirely dictated by his boss, played by William Dafoe. William Dafoe's boss character pretty much tells Jesse Plemons what to do every day, what to wear, what to eat, when to fuck his wife, among other things. William Dafoe's character is also a very generous gift giver. The gifts include John McEnroe's broken tennis racket and also Ayrton Senna's burnt racing helmet from the day he died. And this helmet is mentioned several times again in this film. So first mention is when Jesse Plemons' character tells William Dafoe, "Oh, my wife absolutely loves the gift. She said it's the best that you have ever given me." And William Dafoe goes, "Even more than the Ayrton Senna helmet?" Then we see Jesse Plemons' character describe the helmet to the appraisal team that comes when he's trying to sell all these prized possessions, such as the racket and the helmet. And he says that the yellow on the helmet symbolizes youth. This is mentioned several times during the conversation where Jesse Plemons goes, "Yeah, the yellow represents youth." Spoiler alert, it does not. So, the color scheme on Senna's iconic helmet design is inspired from the Brazilian flag. And on the Brazilian flag, the yellow does not symbolize youth. It symbolizes the gold deposits the country has. You could argue that maybe on the helmet itself, it represents something else, but I highly doubt it because Senna's a very proud Brazilian, and it is said that the helmet design is lifted directly from the flag. Also, he has had this helmet design since he was a teenager when he was go-karting. And you're telling me that a 15-year-old was like, "Yeah, I think this helmet's yellow should symbolize youth because I'm so bloody young and I want it on this helmet forever." Come on. You could argue that maybe he did think that at 15, maybe he changed his mind down the road and he wanted the yellow to represent youth. I would like to bring up this clip this interview clip that was part of the Netflix documentary about him when he was 32. And he said that he feels like he's got so much to learn as a Formula One driver and as a man. However, he doesn't have that much time left, perhaps, as a Formula One driver, but so much more as a man. This is a man who wanted to grow old, who had a very tight grip on his mortality. If anything, being the deeply religious man that Senna is, the yellow or the colors on his helmet, really, it's far more likely to represent God than something as fleeting as youth. You might be thinking, okay, Ray, so really, seriously, this is what bothered you? That the screenwriters decided to take some creative liberties with what the yellow meant? No, it's the fact that along with John McEnroe's broken tennis racket, this helmet was used to represent loss of control in the film. This specific burnt helmet from the day Ayrton Senna died. Senna does have a reputation for being an aggressive driver. Aggressive, however, in my humble opinion, doesn't necessarily equate into being reckless. He takes a lot of risk, but he takes it because he wants to win. He doesn't drive like he actively wants to die. He's aggressive in taking the risk that he does because he really wants to win. And if he dies, he can't win. He can't keep driving, which is the thing he wants to do. Senna really wants to win. That is what drives him, pun intended. He may not be the most calculated driver like Prost, but he is known to be a precision driver. He takes the risk that he takes because he thinks it's going to pay off. Well, I guess on that day, it didn't pay off. The day that he died, he was driving the Williams FW16, which is a car that both him and his teammate Damon Hill complain about. That was the year the FIA banned electronic drive aids such as active suspension and traction control. And there were other faults with the car, such as in the aerodynamics. If you read Adrian Newey's autobiography, How to Build a Car, he actually goes into details about this. Senna complained about the lack of rear stability with the car, and Damon complained about the handling. All in all, This car was problematic, to say the least. They have both famously said that that was a difficult car to maneuver. After he died, there was an extensive investigation into it. So much so that chief designer Adrian, along with other members of the Williams team, were charged with manslaughter. This was some serious shit. And guess what? The results of that investigation wasn't driver's error. It was that there was something wrong with the car, namely with the suspension. It is hypothesized that what mostly happened was a suspension arm slash column broke, which is what triggered the accident. Perhaps there were other instances in Senna's career, examples of his driving that could have been an example for the loss of control. But that day, May 1st, 1994, in Imola, is not one of those days. Ergo, the burnt helmet from the day that he died is not a suitable symbol for the loss of control, which is what Kinds of Kindness was trying to do. That is what bothers me. That prop was designed to look like the helmet that came from the day he died. It was charred, it was burnt, it wasn't just a clean replica, into which then you can probably argue that maybe they were just suggesting that Ayrton Senna is a careless driver and that he lost control that day. But it's not. It's from the specific day itself. And on that day, loss of control is not what took Ayrton Senna's life. Yep, that's it. That is what bothered me. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk. I understand that it probably bothered nobody except me, but this is what happens when there is a collision of two of your very niche fandoms. Pun intended.